If your crypto is on exchanges and you don't know this information, you could be making a huge mistake. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JT, and we are back to the Crypto Den. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Today, we actually are going to go over something that a follower, shout out to D Walker, actually a really in-depth question. How could he go about using hot wallets in his long-term investing strategy? This video is going to be going over everything in that analysis and everything with wallets in general to try to help people understand that it is a big decision. It's an important decision, and there are good ones and bad ones to be making, specifically where you store your retirement, your wealth, if you're doing long-term investing in crypto, which is why you just subscribed, because that's what I cover. I am a fund manager. I professionally manage crypto for high net worth individuals, okay? And we are crushing it. I have over 10 years of software development experience, and I leverage that experience to underwrite the market holistically and from a fundamental perspective, to bring the insights to you all. First, we got to get into what are all the different wallets from a high level. And I'm only going to really go into hot and warm wallets today. And I feel like I kind of invented the warm wallet thing. There are differences between MetaMask and the exchange crypto.com. There are chief differences that make MetaMask a warm wallet and exchange is a hot wallet. There are different things to take into account. So first, cold wallets are like USB sticks. They are just physical storage, an external hard drive that is programmed, has the code it requires to host tokens per a blockchain. One of the things I talk about a lot on this channel is how tokens and blockchains are separate things. It's an ecosystem. When you hear Solana layer 1, it's an ecosystem. There's the app layer, there's the users, there's the security, consensus, ledger. There's a lot, but the network is different than the token. These cold wallets basically can store network tokens. So they can read the programmatic language of the actual blockchains, which I'm going to go over here in a second. And then they are not on the internet at all until they are plugged into a laptop and you go through their security measures, which could be Face ID plus biometric, so thumbprint plus your face, like really hard to access that. Or it's a key, so a phrase that you got to write on paper. That really applies to all of these wallets. If you're ever given credentials to access the value digitally, you're going to want to store those on a paper version, and I recommend like a higher durability notebook that, spend 15-20 bucks on it, get a nice leather front bag, and I would keep all of your important stuff in there, even your bank information. I don't digitally store any of my passwords, and I have 2 copies, one that only one person knows about, and then the other one only I know about. There's no way for someone to digitally access my credentials. That applies to a warm and cold wallet. Hot wallets, you don't have keys. It's a different thing, which we'll get into. And you basically just send all your crypto to this USB stick when it's plugged into a computer, unplug it, put it in a safe, and keep the notebook separate, obviously. And you're fine. And that's great for long-term storage. Like you have 5 years, 3 years, like you don't plan on going to that security deposit box anytime soon. And then, so that's like for a position you're not going to add to that you're comfortable. We'll go into the strategies of all this in a second, but warm wallets are like MetaMask. If you have a MetaMask wallet, it is connected to the internet, which is why it's not cold. And basically, as soon as you open it, it's going to start running. And if you stay connected to apps, it will continue to run. So you have to be diligent on the warm wallets. Like on MetaMask, you might connect a wallet to an app, and then if you're not diligent about disconnecting from that app, it will continue to be connected and run, even if you close your phone down. So it's warm, meaning you can kind of determine the temperature or the risk of the wallet and its profile purely from your own behaviors. And honestly, I have a ton of warm wallets. You're going to need a warm wallet for all the different ecosystems that you play in. And then hot wallets are the wallets that are on exchanges. The highest risk profile, all of these are marginal risks. We're going from 0.1%, like you're at gunpoint kind of a thing, from a cold wallet, to user error for a warm wallet is really high, to be fair. You could make a big mistake with a warm wallet, which we'll get into. So actually, I think the risk is highest on a warm wallet. And then hot wallets, you're really just trusting the exchange that's holding your wealth. No different than you're trusting Fidelity or Charles Schwab as an example. They're a lot more like a brokerage, E-Trade, stuff like that. If you have Wealth, Robinhood on these things, it's the same kind of risk you would assume with a hot wallet. And the reason why it's different than a warm wallet is because they make a bunch of wallets for all the different ecosystems, so you don't have to worry about the tokens, which you can really mess up with a warm wallet. Okay, those are the real chief differences. So I want to take you over to my screen here, and I want to show you some of the information that we just covered. Firstly, we're going to show which one. Well, we're going to explain how it works. Now, before I get into all of the different things to go over with the different wallets, you need to understand the differences of the ecosystem. So let's say this is your MetaMask. This is your warm wallet here. It's not connected to anything. As a wallet is connected primarily to Ethereum. So you only can use MetaMask on Ethereum because it's written in Solidity and it executes on the Ethereum virtual machine. So all of the code is for Ethereum on MetaMask. Then you have Phantom. Solana has all the same stuff except for layer 2s for now, and it runs on Rust, which is a completely different programmatic language. Phantom's only going to work on the Solana virtual machine, okay? So you're going to end up needing a lot of different warm wallets by network. And inside of that network, there's a lot of choices. And you have to know which ones to pick if you're going to choose a warm wallet. Cold wallets are the same thing. Exchanges are the same thing. The wallets don't escape this relationship. So exchanges, what they do is they just get a wallet for Ethereum, a wallet for Solana, a wallet for Binance, a wallet for, XRP, a wallet for WorldCoin, Tron. You get it. And then they make those wallets for you. When you click buy Tron, it spins up a wallet, puts the token in that wallet. It's on the Tron blockchain. Always connected to the internet, 24/7, 365, which is why on exchanges, theoretically, it is riskier. But if that's assuming an expert skill level with all three wallets, I argue that a warm wallet can really mess up in a lot of ways. So if I'm on my MetaMask, okay, and I am trying to send Ethereum to Solana, you can't do it. You can't. So if you put a Solana address for an Ethereum token, you're going to lose your Ethereum forever. It's gone. If you connect this wallet to an app that is malicious because you think it's a legitimate opportunity to make money, it could drain your account. If you go onto an exchange that you think is legit and it just drains your account as soon as you connect your wallet, it's gone. Everything in it is gone. Okay. There's a lot of user error that can happen if you're doing these things. And there's no real benefit to buying on a decentralized exchange or a centralized exchange outside of the actual purchases. So whenever you do your stuff in DeFi and you're in your warm wallet doing stuff and you're doing the risky stuff, the money to fund that wallet went through a bank, through an exchange. That's called onboarding. You can't onboard money or bring money on chain without interacting with the bank. When that money gets into the exchange, you buy the stable token and you send it to the warm wallet. You can do whatever you want on decentralized exchanges that the government doesn't know about, but then when you come back with 100,000 and if you get audited, you're going to have to show that anyways. So there's really no benefit to risking your activity with a warm wallet for your long-term retirement. This is the perspective we're talking about. So I recommend, we're going to get into strategy a little bit now. I recommend only putting your gambling money, your NFT money, your meme coin money, your degenerate behavior money on warm wallets. And I would spread that money across. So this is like your active income in crypto, if that's what you're doing, right? So for long-term investing, I say no warm wallet at all. But if you're going to have 5-10% to try to multiply money to buy more of your long-term investment stuff, which is a strategy, 5-10% in a warm wallet would make sense. This is kind of a list of all the different wallets. You can see so when I talked about ecosystems and the logic and all that stuff, on the far right column, that's where you'll see the actual support of all the different infrastructure that we covered. And if it supports 16,000 cryptocurrencies, that literally means it can work with all that infrastructure, which is really cool. It's pretty easy to do though, because it's ERC20 tokens. Like MetaMask can do any ERC20 tokens, millions of them, and all the layer 2 stuff, but it's still Ethereum. But this can give you a strong idea. Now, when I look at this list, if I was looking at warm wallets for my active part of my crypto world, I personally am on MetaMask, Phantom, and Trust Wallet for Binance, Solana, and Ethereum. Those are my 3 favorite warm wallets. I have not used any of these other ones. Now, in terms of hot wallets, I use a lot of hot wallets. So that's an exchange. We covered cold wallets and warm wallets. Now for hot wallets, which I think was the core of the follower's question. Hot wallets are the exchanges. I thought this was I'll let you guys look at that while I explain this to you. So hot wallets are just like connecting your bank account to Coinbase, putting grand in there, and then buying $500 of Bitcoin, whatever, and you're just buying all of the tokens. It's going to put it in its, in separate wallets that it manages. What I like about hot wallets in general is that's where all of the stakeholders have their tokens. They have a lot of their treasury in those wallets, in that infrastructure, in their security layers. They have SHA-256 level encryption, so the same kind of encryption that a bank or Fidelity would have. And since blockchain is far more visible than banking, I can at least go look how many compromises have occurred on an exchange compared to a bank could have $1 billion lost and they will do everything in their power. They probably kill people to keep that information away from us, if you catch my drift. The exploits are public. You can go look up an exchange's history. You can go look up how often it goes down, meaning, how accessible is it? How secure is the infrastructure? And there are some exchanges that have been owning crypto 14 years longer on the internet than us. So like Coinbase is an example, maybe 13 years longer. The people that built those systems are smarter than you and I. And they are a target for some of the smartest people in the world trying to get their stuff. And when they have no compromises, they have no exploits, that's a really good thing. Even Coinbase, they can't access the money, but they got a hold of customer records. So they're calling and phishing, essentially. If you don't click links and you follow the protocols I talk about, which could be a separate video if you want to hear about that. I've never really done an in-depth video on the protocols with hot wallets, but in general, I just think the exchanges can do a much better job. FTX was like, I didn't have $1 in FTX. I never trusted it. It was too new, I'm talking about an exchange that's been around 10 plus years. That's my minimum, right? Like I have very high standards and only a few meet them. And I spread my crypto investments across all of them. I have crypto.com, Coinbase, Bitstamp, Kraken. Those are my 4. And then I have a few warm wallets that I do some of the active stuff, but it's only realistically 2% of my crypto wealth. What I do is I would say a bucket in my, and Uphold. Sorry, I use Uphold as well. They're newer. That's where I keep my riskiest plays because they also have newer tokens on there. Personally, I like it there. So I take all of my small cap RWA plays, put them into Uphold. I put my large cap things I'm never going to sell into my Coinbase. Okay. I put my mid caps into Bitstamp, right? I find categories and I just move them around and I let all of the accounts kind of just grow on their own. And then I will strategically put capital into each hot wallet based on which sector I feel like is about to do really well. So I will split my stuff into multiple different exchanges, right? That's a really important part of the strategy. And then all of my information to access any of that, which I don't access very often, is in basically cold storage. There's no way you could access it. It is locked down completely. You need my face, my thumbprint to even access the account. In fact, it is really annoying to get a hold of my money from me. And that's kind of the whole point. Their security measures are top tier, where if you're on a warm wallet and you're just trying to make some money and you connect to something, you could lose everything. There's a bunch of different ways to use this technology. I personally have chosen to keep my stuff on, hot wallets, different exchanges. The coolest thing about that is I can access it anywhere, really. With a cold wallet, you can. In a warm wallet, you can as well. And since I am confident in my abilities to use a warm wallet, I don't mind putting more on a warm wallet if I have to for different transactions and things that I'm doing. But in general, a hot wallet, they're 99.99% live outside of routine maintenance downs. Their compromises are never around the actual monies. It's always customer records. And if you're always on the lookout for phishing, literally, if you don't know why someone's reaching out to you, you don't know the number, the email, you don't understand the context, but it seems urgent, that's a scam. That's a phishing attack. Ignore it. Okay. and don't click anything that doesn't make sense. Read every URL by the letter and you'll be fine. So I don't know. I know a lot of people in crypto don't like my opinion on the hot wallets. I just have spent a lot of time underwriting these businesses. A lot of them are about to go public. That doesn't mean they're not going to go out of business, but crypto is very legitimate and people just really struggle. I mean, I can listen to the founder of the exchanges where my retirement is once a week on a podcast, and I can go look at all of their activity on chain. They have their own layer 2. They report every 400 milliseconds. My bank, I have to wait a month plus some days for a statement, and God knows what they're doing behind closed doors. I have no idea. So for me, hot wallets are the option. I personally believe that for long-term investing, hot wallets are the option for me. And also, the fund is also on a hot wallet, and all of the biggest players in the space, including BlackRock, are using Coinbase's custodial services. So you need a third-party custodian as a fund. So all the big guys need a third party to do it. And the way they do it is the same way they do your money on a hot wallet. Okay, you're going to the same thing. It's an exchange offering custodial services through the same security layers and everything else they do for their users. Super easy for them to do. And it's regulated that way. It's where smart money puts their money. People putting it in cold storage like Michael Saylor are really just the people, their strategy is to acquire as much of the token as possible and not do anything with it. When you retire, you're going to need to use it. And as you age, you're going to want access to that capital safely, securely, and easily to make decisions for your family. Put a down payment on a house. Get a loan against it, not sell it and go buy a business. Like, you're going to want to do a lot of things with it once you get it. Moving it from a cold wallet to a hot wallet can be really scary if it's just been in a shelf for 5 years. But you can literally just log into your Fidelity account, the equivalent of it, a Coinbase account, and say, I need a 60% LTV loan on my Bitcoin, and they'll do it. And you can get liquidity like inside of 2 days compared to like 6 weeks at a bank, and you got to bring all these documents in. Like, they'll just, because they have your crypto. It's just I enjoy it. And I recommend staying away from exchanges. Like, if you're doing criteria and research and trying to understand where you're going to be putting money, I would look for how live are they? So into what's their liveness? Have they, has the exchange went down for, and had an interruption of service? If so, for how long and how frequent? I would look for number of users. I would look for TVL, how much wealth is actually on the chain. Or on the exchange. I would look for total compromised assets, how long it's been in business. Is leadership available? Can you find them on LinkedIn? Are they doxxed? Are they, you know who they are? All that stuff, public company. A lot of exchanges fit that bill. I mean, Robinhood, Coinbase, Kraken just said they're about to IPO. Bitstamp got bought by Robinhood. Like, most of these big exchanges that meet my criteria are literally going public right now. They have 100% liveness. So just look into it. I would say Uphold's the sketchiest, but I mean, they've been around 4 years. I just really like I have a small amount in there and I like the access to the tokens. That's basically it. Call that my version of a degen wallet. I'm going long on $500 million market cap tokens because I like their business model and it's totally speculative. But if it rips, awesome. I'll exit at 5 billion and move on to the next one, kind of a thing. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. D Walker, I appreciate you, dog, for reaching out. If you have any extra questions, put it in the comments, man. Let's get the community engaged. I would appreciate it. And if you guys have anything else that you want me to make a video about or cover, reach out. I love making these videos and helping you guys become better crypto natives. Until next time, take care of one another. Peace.